Imagine being banned from your own granddaughter's wedding. That's exactly what happened to 78-year-old Walter. His family said he was too old, too opinionated, and might ruin the vibe. So instead of sending him an invitation, they sent him silence. But Walter? He didn't beg. He didn't cry. He got even. On the exact same day as Hailey's wedding, Walter rented a barn, called up his long-lost sweetheart, and threw a wedding of his own, not just for love, but for every senior, misfit, and forgotten family member who's ever been pushed aside. What started as an act of revenge turned into a viral sensation. The guest list exploded. The media showed up. Even people from Hailey's wedding started sneaking out to join his party. And just when you think it can't get crazier, Hailey herself walked in, mascara running, begging to be part of the moment she once refused. This isn't just a story about a wedding. It's a story about belonging, betrayal, and the boldest act of senior rebellion ever filmed. Don't miss the ending, because Walter's final toast will leave you speechless. Like, share, subscribe, and ask yourself, would you have banned Grandpa? Walter Samuels had always been the pillar of his family, a retired high school principal from Minnesota with sharp wit, tough love, and a basement full of photo albums he'd proudly curated over 5 decades. But when invitations to his granddaughter Hailey's wedding went out, Walter noticed something strange. He never received one. Maybe it got lost in the mail, his neighbor Lorraine suggested kindly. He chuckled. Or maybe I got lost in the family. Eventually, the truth arrived, cruel and direct. Grandpa, said Hailey over the phone, it's just, you're always making scenes. And Dad said it's best if you skip this one. No hard feelings. Walter's silence burned. You're banning me. No, not banning, just not inviting. That night, Walter sat at his dining table, a scotch in hand. The pictures on his mantel, birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, mocked him. He picked up the photo of Hailey as a toddler on his shoulders. You said I was your hero, he whispered. And in that moment, he made a vow. If they won't let me attend their wedding, I'll throw a better one. One they'll never forget. But whose wedding? His own. Walter had been widowed for 15 years. But there was someone from long ago. Her name was Grace, his high school sweetheart. They'd reconnected at a reunion 2 years ago. She once said, laughing over coffee, if we were younger, Walter, I'd marry you in a heartbeat. He called her the next morning. Grace, how do you feel about crashing a wedding with a wedding? Walter wasn't just a retired principal. He was a man with a plan. He rented a charming barn just 20 miles from the venue of Hailey's wedding. Same day, same time, but with one massive difference. His wedding had an open invitation to everyone who had been excluded, forgotten, or cast aside by their own families. He called it the wedding of the uninvited. If this twist just shocked you, hit like, because it gets wilder. Walter began with a handwritten list. Lorraine, his neighbor who hadn't seen her grandkids in 6 years. Frank, the old jazz drummer who used to play at church but had been sidelined after his stroke. Mrs. Patel, from the local grocery, whose son had moved away and never looked back. You're all invited, he told them, to the most outrageous wedding Minnesota has ever seen. They thought he was joking, until the invitations arrived, printed on thick gold-trimmed cardstock. You are formally invited to the wedding of Walter Samuels and Grace Linney, a celebration of those left behind. The RSVPs poured in. Some laughed. Some cried. Some called it a miracle. Walter was no fool. He hired a wedding planner, one who had been recently fired for being too eccentric for a luxury hotel chain. Her name? Lisa Blaze. You want drama, Walter? You got it. She brought in a live band, a barbecue truck, flower garlands, and a bald eagle named Truman for the ceremonial flyover. Too much? Walter asked. Too perfect, Lisa replied, adjusting his boutonniere. Meanwhile, word began to spread. First through church circles, then Facebook, then local media. 78-year-old throws wedding after being banned from family's big day. Walter received a message from Hailey. Grandpa, are you seriously doing this? It's embarrassing. He didn't reply. Instead, He posted a video to his old YouTube channel, dormant since 2011. In it, he stood in front of the barn, smiling. They said I wasn't wanted, so I made a place for the unwanted. Join me if you've ever felt left behind. The video went viral overnight. The morning of the wedding arrived. Across town, Hailey's venue shimmered with artificial elegance. Back at the barn, Walter stood in front of a full house. Balloons, flowers, music, and guests, over 300 people. Strangers hugged. Old friends reunited. Children played. Grace appeared at the top of the barn stairs in a pale blue dress. She didn't walk down the aisle, she danced. And Walter? He cried. "You ready, cowboy?" she whispered. "Born ready, sweetheart." Meanwhile, Hailey's wedding had issues. The caterer was late. The DJ mixed up the playlist, WAP, during cocktail hour. The air conditioner failed, and guests began leaving for the barn wedding. Yes, they heard about Walter's bash and started sneaking away. Even Hailey's college best friend posted a selfie. Left the boring ballroom. Grandpa Walter's wedding is lit fire fire fire. At 4:22 p.m., a black SUV pulled into the barn driveway. Hailey stepped out in full wedding makeup, but tears smeared her mascara. She walked straight into the crowd and found Walter, mid-toast. "I'm sorry, Grandpa," she said, sobbing. Walter looked at her, then the crowd. This wedding was never about revenge. It was about belonging. He held out his hand. Hailey took it. The crowd applauded. As Walter embraced Hailey, the barn doors creaked open, a gust of wind, a flash of thunder. Storm clouds gathered in the sky, but no one moved. The warmth inside outshone the cold outside. But not everyone was smiling. From the shadows, Doug, Hailey's father and Walter's estranged son, stood watching. "So this is what you've been up to, old man," he muttered. He hadn't been invited. And that stung. Doug stepped forward during the reception line, fuming. "You hijacked Hailey's day, Dad." Walter held his champagne. "No, Doug. I saved mine. You always need the spotlight. Always the moral compass. You couldn't just stay home, could you? I raised you better than this, to speak the truth, not hide from it. You didn't raise me. Mom did. You judged. That's all you ever did." The crowd fell silent. Grace stepped between them. "This isn't your stage, Doug. Take your bitterness back to your ballroom." Doug stormed out. Hailey sobbed quietly in the corner. Later that night, Walter sat alone in the barn attic, sipping tea. Hailey climbed up beside him, clutching an old photo album. "I found this at your house. Grandma's handwriting. Letters, from Dad. Ones he never sent." Walter's hands trembled as he read. "I miss you, Dad. I don't know how to talk to you. I wish you'd been there for my first job. I was always scared I'd disappoint you." Walter whispered, "I failed him too." Hailey leaned on his shoulder. "You gave us this day. That counts." By morning, Walter's story was everywhere. Good Morning America, BuzzFeed, local radio stations. Even the Ellen archives reposted the viral video. Journalists surrounded the barn. "How did you plan this? What message do you want to send?" Walter smiled for the cameras. "We all deserve to be seen. No matter our age, our opinions, our mistakes. This wedding is proof of that." The hashtag trended nationwide, #wedding of the uninvited. The next day, Walter and Grace stood again at the altar. But this time, they didn't just repeat old promises. They made new ones. "I vow to never let fear keep us apart again," Walter said. "And I vow to always dance with you, even when the music stopped," Grace smiled. The guests wept. Even Lisa Blaze, usually stone-faced, dabbed her eyes. Hailey returned to her venue, where guests were gossiping about Walter's bash. Her groom, Jason, looked furious. "You ran off to your grandpa's wedding." "I had to," she said. "It felt like home." "This is your home now." "Then why does it feel like a cage?" The crowd gasped. Hailey pulled off her heels. "Call me crazy, but I'd rather dance barefoot in a barn than suffocate in satin." She left, bouquet in hand. Doug returned, this time, not alone. With him was a lawyer. Dad, you can't just air our family's business like this. There are consequences. Walter sighed. Consequences? You banned me from my own blood's wedding. Because you humiliate us. No, Doug. Because I make people remember what matters. Grace interrupted. Enough. This is our wedding. If you want to sue someone, sue Joy. The lawyer quietly backed out. That evening, Walter found Doug sitting alone by the barn pond. They sat in silence until Doug finally spoke. I didn't know how to talk to you. I didn't know how to listen, Walter replied. Doug looked up, eyes misty. You're still my father. Walter reached for his hand. And you're still my boy. The barn filled with music, swing, jazz, Motown. Guests twirled, seniors slow danced, kids ran barefoot through the hay. Walter and Grace took center floor. And Haley, barefoot, free, joined them. Doug and Walter shied a clumsy but heartfelt two-step. Who knew you had rhythm? Doug teased. It's arthritis, Walter winked. As the sun rose, Walter looked out over the barn. Balloons deflated. Streamers fluttered in the breeze. Empty chairs. Full hearts. Grace brought him coffee. Still think you were banned, Walter? No, he smiled. I think I was redirected. After the wedding weekend, Walter returned to his house, alone for the first time in days. The silence was calming. He looked at his mantle again, at all the family pictures. But this time, he didn't feel mocked. He felt full. They came back, he whispered. The doorbell rang. It was Lorraine and Mrs. Patel. Potluck Tuesday is at your place now, Lorraine smiled. Walter chuckled. I suppose I have no say. None, said Mrs. Patel. Your family again. Walter's old flip phone buzzed. Unknown number. Is this Mr. Walter Samuels? Yes. This is Netflix. We saw the wedding. We want to talk. Walter nearly dropped his coffee. Talk about what? Turning your story into a film. Grace screamed from the kitchen. Tell them I want Meryl Streep to play me. Doug called a family dinner. A real one. At a local restaurant, 3 generations gathered. Haley stood up first. Grandpa reminded us what weddings are about. Not control, not status, but love. Doug cleared his throat. Dad, I'm sorry for losing you. For banning you. You didn't deserve that. Walter raised his glass. Then let this be the first of many invitations to come. Walter and Grace appeared on live morning television. The host leaned in. Walter, what would you tell other seniors who feel left out by their families? Walter looked at the camera. Don't wait for a seat at their table. Build your own. Set it with joy. And serve up your story hot. And invite everyone who knows what it feels like to be forgotten. The audience rose in applause. Clips from Walter's toast at the barn wedding hit 12 million views. Comment sections overflowed. I cried. I'm calling my grandpa now. We need more Walters in this world. Grace laughed. You're a celebrity, darling. And still can't get my lawn mowed, Walter grinned. 6 months later, Walter and Grace celebrated their half-year wedding anniversary in the same barn. Everyone returned. Lorraine, Mrs. Patel, Lisa Blaze, even Doug. Haley brought her new boyfriend. This one passed the barn test, she joked. Walter and Grace renewed their vows, again. What's the secret to a good wedding? The DJ asked. Invite the right people, Walter said. And be one of them. One winter morning, Walter found a letter in his mailbox. From his brother, James, estranged for decades over a family feud. I saw your wedding online. I cried. I'm sorry for everything. If there's room at your table, I'd like to come. Walter picked up the phone. It's been too long, brother. Come home. Walter and Grace turned the barn into a community center, the uninvited hall. Every Sunday, seniors gathered to dance, sing, share stories. There was laughter, love, and always, cake. A wooden sign hung over the entrance. No one left behind. At 82, Walter's knees weren't what they used to be. But when the band played their wedding song, he rose. Grace held him steady. Ready, cowboy. Always. They danced, slow, soft, and surrounded by cheers. It wasn't just a dance. It was a revolution. Walter's story would be told for years. Not because he threw a better wedding, but because he reminded the world that no one, no matter their age, deserves to be erased. His picture now hangs in the barn, smiling beside Grace. Underneath, it reads, "He was never uninvited. He just changed the guest list." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because somewhere out there, another Walter is about to rise.